Hi everyone, my name's Natalie and welcome to episode 8 of the Mental Matters podcast. I apologize in advance if there's any construction noises happening in the background because just outside of my window there is some construction going on, so I apologize. Today we're going to talk about identity and we're going to talk about who am I without my struggles. So I've been thinking a lot about this one lately because this week especially has been a very bad week for me in my medication adjustment and all that I've explained in the previous videos. So it hasn't been a very good week. This is the first day in the last 7 days that I've been able to kind of get out of my bed and put on some makeup, do my hair, whatever. And it's really hard. It's really hard to feel that way when you are watching everyone live their lives and you're happy that they get to live their lives, but you just want it to be your time already. So that's where I am. And I've been having a lot of thought about today's topic, about identity and who am I without this struggle that I've been dealing with for over 12 years now. And it's a tough thing to think about because in my mind, I don't know who I am because I don't remember a life without feeling anxious or without avoiding certain things or, just feeling like crap all the time. So when I think about what would I actually like, what would I actually want to do, what would I enjoy if I didn't have this? Who would I be? Would I be a nicer person? Would I be a meaner person? Would I like to go out to clubs? Would I like to stay in? It's just all of the decisions in my life have been dictated by my anxiety. So I haven't actually had the ability to see what I personally would like to do in my life or what I like. And it's such a difficult idea to be living. I've 22 years of living and not have a single shred of an idea of who I am. Because fear can run your life so much that it really does affect everything and anything that you do in your life. Because I personally don't like to go out because I'm afraid of how I'm going to react that day because I'm so unpredictable and a lot of things trigger me outside of my home. So that's the reason I don't like going out. But if I didn't have this disorder, if I didn't have this thing in my life, would I actually like going out? Am I a party person that I didn't know of? Do I like this kind of thing? Do I like to put myself in loud environments with lots of people? Maybe that's what I love, but I don't know that because I am so dictated with this fear that I haven't had the opportunity to actually figure that out. And it makes me wonder, and I think, who am I and how have I lived 22 years and not have a clue what I like? To other people, it's easy. She doesn't like going out. She doesn't like doing like things with big social interactions and all of that. To them, it's easy to conclude because they see what I do and not why I do it. But to me, because I can see the internal conflict that happens within me, I actually don't know the answer, and it's not as simple as that. So during that time that I was on Lexapro and living my best life, I was doing so much more than what I would do now. I would go out every chance I could get. I would do things I would never do, I couldn't do now, even if I wanted to. I would go on holidays like across Australia and I would go to crowded places and I'd play sports competitions and things that would make me nervous, like basketball. I had to quit basketball after 10 years because every year I would do it, I would suffer. I'd have panic attacks on the court. And as soon as I was old enough to have a voice for myself, I said, I'm not doing this anymore because it's causing me too much pain. And I started basketball again. And even though I had so much trauma associated with that, and I would go to clubs and I would go to bars, and again, it wasn't perfect. I would still feel a bit overwhelmed, but the fact is that I was doing it and I wanted to do it. So it gave me an insight, as a little glimpse as to who I really am, who I am without that fear that takes over me. And I liked the person that I saw, and it has really, really kind of messed me up going back after seeing that person, after getting a taste of who I really am, to go back to not being a functional human being. And it's taken a toll on me mentally, physically, and I don't go out and see my friends anymore because I can't. I don't leave my room because I just can't cope. And to have to resort to these things after being so alive and full of life. And I was so excited to get to know myself because I just thought that this was forever. It's only going to go up from here. So when it all went bad, it was an even bigger punch to the stomach than if I was always just not well. Having that taste of freedom and life and knowing who I was actually hurt me more in the end when it was all ripped away from me, because you don't know what you have until it's gone. So the fact that I couldn't have that person back, no matter what I did at the time, was a real knife to the gut. And I'm so thankful that I got to have that couple years where I was, living on this high and getting to know myself. I don't regret that. It just sucks because I don't have that anymore, and I got a taste of it. And it's like, getting a taste of a drug. Once you start, you can't stop. And it gives me a goal, at least, to get back to, and even past that goal. I want to be better than that. But to have it taken away from you is one of the hardest things that I've experienced. At first, I was just angry. It was just a lot of anger towards my family, towards my therapist, towards myself mostly. Just like, I did everything you told me. I did all the right things. Why did this happen to me? You said this wouldn't happen to me. What did I do wrong? Why is God punishing me? What did I do to deserve this? And I went down a big spiral. And I really didn't know who I was anymore, because everything I thought was coming my way just got ripped away from me. So till this day, I'm still grieving that person. And I feel like I'm living in like an imposter's body. Like, this isn't my body. This isn't my mind. I'm just floating somewhere, because, how can you be yourself and not know what you want or what you love? It's not fair, because you're on this world to live it the way that you want to. So when your body and your mind isn't allowing you to even do that, to make your own decisions, that's when you feel completely helpless, completely out of control. And it's a depressing feeling. Like, it depresses me to think about it, and I hate it. I hate it for myself. I hate it for the people around me. But I have sort of come to terms with it. I have become a little less angry. I think I'm just a bit numb now. It's been about 10 months since this all happened, and honestly, I haven't gotten much better. I haven't gotten any better yet since that breakdown 10 months ago, which is really hard, because it's a very long time to put your life on pause. It's a very long time to have to stop your life, especially at such an age where this is, your prime time. I want to get to know myself a little more before the scarier parts of life come along. So I'm just doing everything in my power to get to know that person, because I'm not happy with who I am. And even though I'm glad that going through this, I know, has made me a more compassionate person and a more caring person, I just wish it didn't have to cost my life to have these insights. And I'm really looking forward to the day that I recover and can use these insights while also living a life that I'm happy with, because right now I'm just not there, and I'm nowhere near that point. And it's a tough thing to reflect on, because I don't deserve it and no one deserves it, and it's not fair, and you can kick and scream about it, but it's just how it is right now, and I'm doing everything in my power to change it, but it's a long, slow process. It's been 10 months, nothing's changed. Again, I'm doing all the right things, but at this point, it's not really in my hands. I just have to give it as much time as I can, take. And I think from that glimpse of myself that I saw when I was in a good place with Lexapro, I think I am a really outgoing person that likes to be around people, that likes to push themselves, that likes to excel, that likes to learn, that doesn't actually like being home. Because to contrary belief, I hate it. But it's the only place that makes me feel the most comfortable. So to the outside eye, it's, she's a homebody. That's where, she feels the most joy. That's not the case. It's where I feel the most comfort, and everywhere else is not comfort. And comfort doesn't equal joy. It's just where you feel like you're losing your mind a little bit less. So I know that my house doesn't bring me the joy that going out and seeing people and interacting and learning and loving gives. I know that, and I want to see her, because I was that person from, when I was born till I was about 10 years old, but I don't remember her. I wasn't old enough to appreciate and understand her, but it had to be taken away from me for me to really, really appreciate that person and really want her back. The person who I am now is not actually me. I don't identify with her at all. She is just an intruder in my life at the moment, and I have seen just a taste of who I am when I was on Lexapro, and I really liked that person, and that was just a taste. I was still afraid, and I was still anxious, and I was still limiting myself a bit, but I was happy and I was alive and I was living. And I know when I get to that point where I figure everything out and I'm able to be that person again, I'm going to be even better, even more free, more happy, more giving, more loving. And that is the person I will be proud to call myself. To whoever asks me, I tell them, this is not who I am. This is not who I want you to call your friend, because I'm at no capacity to be anyone's friend. I don't want to be associated with people in this form that I am in, because in my eyes, this is just a blip in my life and this imposter who has taken over my body and my mind and my life. And this is not who I am. This is not who I want to be. So as much as I am giving myself patience and love throughout this whole thing, I do not accept that this is the person that I am and that I will always be. I simply do not accept it. I'm not happy with it. And I'm going to do everything in my power to actually find out what Natalie likes. What does she want to do in her spare time? Where does she like to go to travel? Where does she like to take her friends? What's her ideal day? Not dictated by fear. And that is the day I'll know who I really am. So thanks for listening to this kind of rant of mine. It's been a very hard week, very emotional week. And I appreciate, again, to everyone who is listening. I appreciate you. And yeah, today was a bit of a rough one for me, a tense one. But I really do appreciate each and every one of you that listens. And I'm hoping that you will get to know the real Natalie one day when I find her, because the person you're seeing right now is just a shell of who she is. So I hope one day I can show you who I really am and answer the questions that I've been wanting to answer my whole life. Thanks for listening, guys.